So, my brother, he was getting married, right? I think it was 2017 he got married. That doesn't sound right. No, not
Your
2017,
brother got
dude.
married in like 2020.
2021? Had to be
married like 6 months
right?
before you.
No, that's not true. I think it was 2020. I graduated high school in 2017, so it definitely wasn't that year. Gosh, time flies when you're having fun, I guess. But anyways, we're going on his bachelor party trip, right? We're going to go up to North Georgia, Blue Ridge area, do some camping outdoors, get smoky, with the campfire. And it was going to be cold too. I think the weather was projecting to be, at nighttime, I think in the 20s, because it was November or maybe even early December. And so obviously, we're leaving from Gainesville. I've got him and like 3 of his buddies in my truck, and we stop at the Chick-fil-A, right, to get some breakfast. And how do I say this? We all were just pounding Chick-fil-A. We went through the drive-thru, we're pounding Chick-fil-A. I said, like a dad, I'm a dad now, and I was a little bit of a dad in that moment, but I said, look, everybody needs to go tinkle before we get on the road. I did it before I left the house, but I, obviously didn't watch you guys this morning go and tinkle. So we're in the drive-thru. One of his buddies is like, all right, I'll go to the bathroom. And he's like, no, this is Trevor. No, I don't have to go, man. I'm good. I'm an adult. I know when I have to pee. So I'm like, all right, fine. It's a great point. You're about to be married. You're a man. You can make these decisions for yourself. And dadgum, we literally get to Lake City, maybe even just north of Lake City. And if anybody knows geography in like the North Florida area, that's a solid 40 minutes. And this is like an 8-hour trip. And we're, not even an eighth of the way in. And this man is like, I've got to pee really bad. And so I was a little frustrated. And growing up, my dad, he used to always take the Yeti, right? He would fill it to the brim with coffee, this big Yeti cup. He'd fill it with coffee. And then about 4 hours later, he would fill it up again, but not with coffee. And so he would really kind of season that Yeti as it rode on the rest of the car trip. And so guess what? We had a bunch of empty Chick-fil-A cups. And he's like, let's have fun. It's my bachelor party, whatever. So we're driving down I-75 north, and he starts peeing in this cup. And he's filling it up. And he's like, I don't know if this is going to stop. You know what I mean? Once you get going, it's tough to cut it off. And dadgummit, if it didn't stop just before the top of that thing. And so I'm like, all right, put a lid on it, and we'll stick it in a cup holder and we'll toss it next time we stop. And as soon as the words left my mouth, the window is rolling down. I forgot to put the child lock on. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, if you're going to throw this out the window, you better yeet this thing as hard as you can, because the wind's going to catch it. Okay. I told him that up front. He's like, look, I know, dude, I'm an engineer. You think I don't know how wind works? And also, I'm not going to throw the cup out. That's literally, that's bad for the environment. And so I'm like, all right, dude, just whatever you're going to do, just do it. Just get it over with. The anticipation's killing me. He rolls down the window. He goes to throw it, hold onto the cup and kind of toss the bladder fluid out the window. And he's in the front passenger. And as soon as he goes to do that, the wind catches the cup, takes it out of his hand. The wind smacks the cup obviously out of his hand. It hits the side of the truck. In doing so, half of the urine ends up splattered down the back, rear passenger side window, just splattered down it. The other half has turned into mist and has now been shot into one of the passengers' faces behind Trevor. So obviously there's, a bunch of kind of hooting and hollering and whatnot. And we had to clean it out, and my truck really the whole trip just kind of had this, it was pretty noticeable. I mean, you probably didn't know it was urine if you, walked up on it, but just whenever you look at the side of the truck and the window has stuff just dried all over it, it's never a good situation. So.
Yeah. Let's just say that isn't optimal. No way. What did the truck do to deserve a urination? It's the urination station.
Right. Look, the truck, it served me well, and it still does to this day. Thankfully, it hasn't forsaken me, for that one incident, but I wasn't pleased. I like to keep my truck in decent shape, or so I think. And, it was all fun. I don't really think it was disrespectful. He was having fun. I said, go for it, gave it my blessing. But the end result was nasty. Really, I'd hate to be the dude sitting behind him. Just urine mist right to the dome. That's never fun.
I would say, I would never say never, first off, right? Some people enjoy that. Oh dear. Not me, of course. I've never enjoyed urination. My station is not made for urination, but some people's are, is what I'm trying to say. This isn't a podcast. Well, it kind of is, quite frankly. Quite frankly, it's in the name. I'll just say it, quite frankly. That's just a weird little interest if you enjoy that kind of thing. But I'll stop commenting on it now. But those are just my thoughts. I've been doing some adjusting of this microphone so I can kind of talk down on it, because I feel like if it's up here for our listening only audience, you can't even see me. But if it's down here, I want to be able to speak freely and move freely, much like you and your boys did on the way to the trip.
We were moving freely.
Seemed like y'all were moving and flowing freely.
That's right.
How about the trip as a whole? What are 3 things you learned on that trip?
Oh, wow. That's tough. Well, I would say the first one is probably do your research. We went to Unicoi State Park. I think it's a state park in Georgia. And we got campsites, right? But they're made for tents, apparently. But it's like it's like 57 stone, like rock gravel that you're laying on top of. So really wish we would have brought some mats, because my back, and my hips and my neck the morning afterwards, as you can imagine, I mean, if it's in the 20s and then dadgummit, you got to lay on gravel, like the side of the road, it's not going to be great when you wake up. Your body is stiff. I'll say the second thing that I learned was, after a cold morning like that, one of the best things is just like a hot country breakfast. We all went in Blue Ridge. There's this little cafe. I think it's called the the broken bike, maybe. That sounds right. The rusty bike, maybe. Anyways, it's just like this old school country diner, and we all roll in there, and we're like, we're all dressed in like camo, just like our thickest stuff because it's just 20 degrees, right? We smell like smoke. Half of us have like, I was wearing like that full camo pullover where you can only see my eyes through it. And man, it was one of the greatest meals of my life, probably because of the depravity that led up to it, if that makes sense. Just the cold and the conditions from the multiple hours before it. I would say my third lesson is if anyone offers you like a mason jar jug and says, hey, this is mermaid's milk, because that's what they call it up there, and you drink it, maybe don't. So that was the third lesson. Don't drink the mermaid's milk.
Did you find yourself operating a motor vehicle after partaking in the mermaid's milk?
Well, I kind of had my sequence of events a little messed up there. Mermaid's milk, sleeping on the gravel, then the next morning was breakfast. So you can connect the dots between what we had there. And I don't even believe it was alcoholic. Nobody told me anything. They just said mermaid's milk. So I can neither confirm nor deny, but all I know is I was sleeping on gravel.
Wow.
And I woke up cold and stiff and in pain.
Now that
but
just
it was a
makes
great
sense.
trip, honestly. I love that kind of stuff. Just when you look back, and I've said it before, like the Mudden trip where we were stuck for 12 hours. You look back, you're like, man, that was terrible in the moment. It sucked. It wasn't terrible in the moment. It was a good time. But when you wake up and it's rough, you're like, that was a good time, man. That was a real good time.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned you had a hot country breakfast and how there's nothing better than a hot country breakfast after a night on the gravel. Well, if you don't mind explaining a little bit for our listeners that may be in France or the Ukraine or Dubai, they may be thinking, especially the French, that a hot country breakfast would just be a nice cafe au latte and a pain au chocolat.
Right. They're like, oh, a country breakfast, like, like a crepe and like a shot of espresso. Oh, what a great country breakfast.
Yeah. All hail the queen.
All hail the queen.
Queen of France.
But, where we ate breakfast, if they say all hail, it means something different. You know what I'm saying? That's used kind of in a different context. Yes, no, it was just eggs with grits on top of the eggs.
Maybe some black beans.
No. Blood pudding. The jug is so gross. Yeah, like a grilled tomato is a great British breakfast as well. But eggs, grits, I think it had biscuits, and I may have even gotten a side pancake. I was feeling crazy. Oh. But it was, and I can't remember if I got sausage or bacon. I think I got sausage. But that's a great warm your soul country breakfast,
Yeah. I don't know because I've never been there, but I live vicariously through you, and I do know now. That's awesome, though, and exciting. You know what is more exciting, though, is if you told me about the past 7 days for you.
Well, yeah, my past 7 days have been really jam-packed, probably more jam-packed than, dare I say, any 7 days this year. I won't say of my life.
Man, I dare you.
That's definitely not true.
I dare you to say that.
Okay, it's the most action-packed week from this whole year. I said it.
Wow.
I had, I had work Monday through Thursday. I took Friday off, right? I I've been getting back in the gym a little bit, been like running first thing. I'll run like a mile and a half, and then do my weightlifting after that. So your heart rate's already up. You're already kind of huffing and puffing, and it just keeps, just keeps everything going. Whereas if you run afterwards, you're already gassed. You know what I mean? So I've been doing that, and it's been feeling pretty good. I'm going to be honest. I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, I went to the gym and Rocky 4 was on, and dadgum, dude, I don't know if you've seen that. Ivan Drago, the Russian, Rocky goes up there and he's like, I was working out at the same time that Rocky was, he's running through the Russian countryside doing all these different workouts, like prison workouts essentially. And that'll get you amped. I mean, that's my favorite Rocky movie. And I was about to explode. I was just so amped. So I will say at the end, he started fighting, the kind of final match there. And I may have spent more time watching the TV than actually lifting weights. But before that, it was really good. It really did aid in the workout.
That's awesome.
So, would recommend turn on Rocky 4 and work out for 2.5 hours, the whole distance of the movie. It'll really get you going.
That would be something. That'd be a dare pump.
Oh, dare pump is the best. And then really the rest of the week, I was just packing my things because we're moving out of our apartment. Well, I say moving. We've already moved out of our apartment and into a townhouse, which is just a couple minutes away from where our apartment's at. But moving, man, every time I do it, I always just say, wow, I hate moving and I don't want to do this again. But when you're a renter, that's what you sign up for, right? They say, hey, you're going to pay more next year. And I'm going to say, probably not. I'm going to go somewhere cheaper. So that's what we do. We're trying to get more space, I like to have a spare bedroom in case you join us or my parents or your brother or my brother or somebody comes over. We'd like to say, hey, there's a bed here. Do you want to take a nap? Do you want to crash? There's an extra bed here where you can do this. You don't have to lay on the floor like usual.
Of course. Maybe have a slice of pie if that's in the budget.
Have some pie. Add some whipped cream. Don't lay down on the floor. We've got a spare bed for you this time. You don't have to sleep on the floor. So that's a real luxury, guys. You know what I mean? Like the people in my close circle who are listening to this, you guys are understanding. You're probably listening to this right now, driving to work Monday morning. You're like, oh, dang, I better go visit Brett, Molly, and Stetson because they've actually got a bed that I can take a nap in.
Yeah.
And I don't have to
Only
sleep on
naps,
the floor.
Though. You cannot
naps.
Stay the night sleeping.
And if you
can
if
stay
you
the
do
night
sleep overnight, right. Well, I'll just come in every 45 minutes and wake you up. So it's a bunch of little naps. Oh, but no, I was kind of advertising our move to my different Bible study groups. And I was like, hey, we're moving. If you feel called to come help us move, on Saturday, we'll be moving our things. And so my buddy Alec Light, he's a saint. He said, hey, dude, I got a trailer. You want me to bring it? And then you won't have to have a U-Haul. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. Bring it. And I was still considering getting a U-Haul because I didn't know the dimensions. I didn't know, was it enclosed? I'm used to working with trailers that are really pretty sketchy. Wheel might fall off at any point in time. And so Saturday morning, I'm like, we're going to get started at 9. And we had some other friends come help us pack and load things up in the trailer. He gets there at 8:45. I'm like, this dude's already just on top of the ball. Getting here a little early to get everything set up. I walk out there. The dude's got an enclosed trailer. It's like the same size as a U-Haul. He brought a dolly. He brought little blankets to make sure things don't get scratched. I was like, dude, are you serious? The hospitality is unreal. And then, it doesn't stop there. He walks in. He's like, hey, everybody, where's the boxes? He wasn't just like, here's my trailer. You guys fill it up. He's like, I got a dolly. I'm going to grab all your boxes and I'm going to put them in here. I was like, dude, we got a bunch of people here. Let us help you. And so he's like running. We're running, trying to keep up with him. He ate his Cheerios that morning and he was amped. He probably watched Rocky IV before coming over to help move, honestly.
Yeah. This guy's name is Alec.
Alec Light. Yeah.
Alec Light.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Alec Light. Yeah, I don't know you, and I hope you're listening to this, but I'll tell you, you are an exemplification of it, what we see in Acts chapter 2 of brethren coming around brethren and helping and serving. You could have done a lot of things on Saturday, couldn't he have? He could have gone played golf. He could have gone spent time away, rest. But I'm going to tell you, Alec Light, you let your light shine, Alec.
And he brought his wife and his baby daughter over as well.
Wow.
His baby daughter, she's so small, dude, but she's so capable and intelligent. And she was lifting boxes. She was like, here, she was holding them over her head. It was insane. But my dad, he was helping us out. Jacob Sparks Classic was helping us out. My buddy Andy, Tyler, the list goes on. There were so many great people that showed up. And Todd offered to show up with his little girl. I said, dude, if you're a single dad this weekend, don't stress it. We got a lot of folks coming, don't stress it. So he offered, he was very kind. He was called. But yeah, gracious, I owe him. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, did you greet them with a holy kiss?
I should have.
For doing what they did.
I did not. So I was really, I wasn't faithful to what the Bible tells us to do. Greet all the brothers with the holy kiss is what it tells us to do. And I didn't do that. I failed. So this is me confessing and coming out here and saying that. But yeah, I definitely owe Alec we'll take him out to dinner or buy him a round of golf. He's a beast at golf, by the way. I think he won, the little tournament that I played in for CEF last week. He was in it. I think he won the long drive. So the man just engages the calves and hits absolute bombs.
Oh, Alec Light.
Yeah.
Alec.
Yeah. I think he's got a free round of golf in his future, is what it sounds like.
Alec Light, congratulations. You've just won one free round of golf from the Quite Frankly podcast, provided by the Brett part of the Quite Frankly podcast.
And look, whenever Bo's in town, that's 3 right there. I'm sure we can scratch up a 4th, make it a proper foursome.
Easy.
I think Alec is our first invitee to the Quite Frankly Golf Scramble Tournament.
Yeah.
Let's name it after him. The Alec
Light Scramble.
Yes. The Alec Light.
Sponsored
makes
by.
It sound like it's in memoriam is what it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
But the dude's got a business. Sponsored by the
Quite Frankly podcast. What's his business?
His business is Abundant Home Collections. He takes
Abundant
that's why he's
Home
got the
Collections.
Trailer,
Abundant Home Collections
sponsor.
Is sponsoring the Quite Frankly podcast. They signed contract.
That's right.
So if you know Alec Light, you need to be sure to thank him.
Yeah, and he's a Florida fan, so I'm sure he's going to be up in Gainesville every once in a while. What he does, his business, he takes couches and other furniture items, refurbishes them,
Reupholsters.
reupholsters them. He does
So
also,
he's
and
good
I'm
with his
sure he does
hands.
incredibly. But he does anything you want. I mean, I could text him and be like, dude, I need a 200-inch couch, reupholstered, mid-century modern. He would probably send over a price, something, a great price, I'm sure, and say, give me a couple weeks. I'll get it to you. And
And
look,
it shows up on your doorstep at 8 a.m.
it shows up on your doorstep. You give him the cash. It's a done deal. I'm sure he's up in Gainesville every once in a while. For a fee, I'm quite sure he would deliver.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's a big market out there listening to this podcast. Abundant Home Collections. I don't know if they're on social media. AHC.
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 Shout out.
And I think their slogan is pressure makes diamonds, and I love pressure. So, but yeah, Alec is an absolute
great,
bro. That's great. He's an absolute bro. And to be quite frank, it would have taken me all day. Like, I probably would have killed myself moving, you know what I mean? Couch on top of me. And then I'm a goner,
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was
I
it
know what you
for?
mean.
It was what? So we could move somewhere? Unbelievable.
Death by 200-inch couch.
Yeah, mid-century modern.
Not
Death
good.
by mid-century
Not
modern.
Good.
But yeah, I
Stepped
mean, it
on
was.
your father one too many times.
Yeah, yeah. Truthfully. But yeah, that was moving, and honestly, we're about 97% out of our current apartment. I'm in the current apartment because we still don't have Wi-Fi in our new place. It's like, who wants Wi-Fi, Who wants Wi-Fi to be set up whenever they move in? Not me. I'd rather have to go back to my old apartment that's abandoned and empty to do a podcast. But that's just me. I know a lot of people would expect Wi-Fi, but that's not me. So, but yeah, that was, I mean, obviously the big part of the week. My parents came on Thursday night. Huge help Friday with just watching Stetson, helping us pack. My dad helped me get rid of our storage unit, so we got everything out of there because we've got so much more storage at this new place. So we're going to be able to pick up a little bit of cash there that we were spending, and we'll put that elsewhere, maybe for a better camera, for quite frankly, or perhaps I'll sponsor a tee box for the quite frankly Alec Light Home Collections, American Home Collections
Memorial Tournament.
Memorial Tournament. I got to remember this dude's company. It's not American Home Collections, is it?
It's not. It's Abundant Home Collections, but
Abundant.
it's not going to be
Gosh, it's
good
the A.
if
It kills
Alec
me.
Light passes away this week. That's
Oh,
not going to be
jeez.
good because we're going to be suspects number one.
We're going to be suspects. It would be bad, but it would be good. It would be bad because we would be suspects, and obviously he has a family that loves him. It would be good because he
We
loves
could
the Lord.
seriously monetize that tournament.
Oh my gosh, dude. Unbelievable. I was going to say it's good because he knows the Lord. You know what I'm saying? He's
suffering on this earth no longer, man.
he's a faithful man. And that's not
Your
a
life
joke.
can be
We
as
joke
good
about a
as
lot
it
of
can-
stuff,
No,
but the dude's he's a bro.
your life can be as good as it can be. Your life could be great. Your life could have no flaws in it, and it still wouldn't even match what a life with the Lord would be. And for our minds, it's incomprehensible. So why would dying be good for a believer? Because they are in the presence of a perfect God, and they become perfected through Christ. Come on, somebody. That excites me. So, why is death good for a Christian? That's why. We grieve on this side of the earth, but they're not sad.
Yeah.
They're
I mean,
healed
whenever
fully.
you think about creation, when Adam was made and God breathed his life into him. I think in Hebrew the word breathe is ruach, and it sounds like breath leaving, ruach. Um, but you just kind of get this image of like Adam is just, he's made from the earth essentially, and he's not a living creature. And then God comes face to face with him and breathes his breath of life into him, and that's what we're made for. We're made to be in face to face contact, constant community with the Lord. Um, and since the fall, that's really that's what we long for. But that's we can't get that on this side of heaven.
Absolutely. And you said something interesting is the ruah sounds like a breath. And a lot of times when we hear don't use the Lord's name in vain, we tend to think, "Oh, that just means I can't say oh my
OMG.
blank. OMG." Well, what that really is saying, I believe, is if the Lord has given our breath, and if our breath sounds like ruah, like the name of the Lord, then literally everything we say should be working to glorify Him. So don't use the Lord's name in vain. Well, if I'm saying something that isn't honoring to God, that would be using His name in vain because He's given me the very breath to breathe, to use the words that I say. And so there's a point on anti legalism. Now,
There's also a case to be made in James, right? When they talk about taming the tongue, he says the tongue is like the rudder of a ship. It's small, but it has incredible power. I think he also compares it to a fire that, with great strength, you can destroy, so many things with just a few small words. So, something also to be mindful of.
yeah. And I'm thinking along the lines of breath and what we say with our words. I think sometimes we get so locked in on, oh, I just need to not say OMG. I need to not kill somebody, and I'm granted entry into heaven. If it's what I'm doing, if I'm doing the right stuff, if I'm doing the morally correct stuff, then I'm good. Wrong. Wrong. The point of the breath analogy here is to prove I fail at that all the time. You fail at that all the time. And while I can't provide any quick examples, I'm just saying everybody who's listening right now fail at glorifying the God with our words at all times. And that points out our need for Christ. Because if we didn't fail, we wouldn't need Christ. Something as simple as an involuntary movement within our heart and brain causing us to breathe and increase our oxygen to our lungs can point to an almighty, gracious Heavenly Father. If that doesn't fire you up, I don't know what will, to be quite frank.
I'm fired up. I've been
I mean, I
fired up.
could run I could run through your apartment wall right now. I mean, it's just a rental.
I was about to say you probably could. The construction of it is not great. Oh gracious! But yeah, that was my week. It was really moving. Is always, it's difficult to do. Whenever you get into the new place, it's always like a breath of fresh air, right? But you also look back on the old apartment and you think about, I mean, that's really the only home that Stetson's ever known. I'm a sentimental guy, so I think about these things a lot. And it kind of make me tear up a little bit just because there's so many good memories in it, right? But you also think about the future and you're like, man, we're gonna make a lot of good memories in this new place as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing, I mean, I don't know if this is going to help you or hurt you, but in about 30 years, Stetson isn't going to even know he lived there. He
Dude,
won't
don't
remember a
even.
thing.
You're gonna make me cry. Don't do it.
But here's the
I
thing.
might say OMG, dude. You're making me want to
Here's the
say
thing.
OMG.
Here's the thing. It's memories for you, all right? And you need to cherish those. Because you can look at your young boy as he grows and you can say, I remember the day that you slept in your own room for the first time. And you're going to look back on the place you're sitting. You're going to look back like that Will Smith meme in that whatever show he's in, Philadelphia, born and raised, West Philadelphia. And he has his hands in his pocket and the house is empty. You're going to look in there and say, these were some of the most formative years of the three of our lives, right? Lots changed in that apartment. You had a child there. Actually, you had a child in a different apartment, but same complex.
That is true.
But it's quite beautiful. So I'm not saying forsake those moments. You got to celebrate them.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't forsake him. And really, whenever I typically put Stetson down for bed, and I'll just squeeze him real tight. Not too tight, obviously, because he's a baby, but but I'll just squeeze him tight and be like, "Oh, Bubba, one day you're gonna be grown, but I'll just squeeze you right now because you're a little baby." And I'll squeeze you when you're grown too, but you won't be sitting on my lap nearly as much. So
You'll be walking on your back on your
now
200-inch couch.
I am excited for that. I am incredibly excited for that. But that was my week. I've taken up a lot of time. Obviously, it was action packed. But I'd love to hear how your week was as well.
Yeah, I'd love to share. All right. Well, Monday starts the week because we record on Sunday. Monday we release this podcast. First off, whoever's listening to this, thank you. All right. We need not to forget the time it takes to invest in the mission of, quite frankly, to love people deeply and generously. And you being a part of that is helping us achieve this. You being little small vessels of this podcast going out into the world and loving other people deeply and generously, that's exactly what we want. We want this to be a heart and you to be the veins. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And quite frankly, it's the blood.
Yeah. The quite frankly flows through your veins. And you are an individual vein. Think of that. And we are a family. We are working together as a body of people to love people deeply and generously. Now, take that for an analogy. Onward. Monday is rehearsal and then pickleball. It was great. I was a little tired at pickleball, but I think I got a little second wind there. But it was dark, and sometimes I like to go to bed. And that was good. It was good for me. It stretched me in a good way. Tuesday is, okay, get this. I'm at my apartment. I'm going to the gym after work. Well, who do I see? Well, I see 3 randoms sitting at the pool. All right, they don't live at this apartment complex, and I'm the HOA president, so I walk over. I say, "Excuse me, what are you doing? Where's your orange band?" And they say, "Well, we're dog sitting." I said, "That's not allowed. Get out." And then I shooed them off. That story is a lie, other than the fact that I saw 3 people at the pool. All right,
Without
I
orange
knew
bands.
all. They did not have orange bands for sure. I do not wear my orange band either. That was an initiative set by the apartment complex, and they disbanded that initiative because, quite frankly, it didn't work. Anyway, onward. I know them from church, and we have a great conversation. Well, then I go to life group later that night. It's taught by one of the people at our church. It's Acts 25. All right, Paul's defending himself in front of the governor, I believe it was, or the council, one of those, and he's acquitted for now. Then what happens after Life Group? Well, my boy James, New King James, hits me up. He says, yo, I got some free time. You want to hit up the Lost Marks? And I say, there ain't nothing better I'd love to do than hit up the Lost Marks with the boy James. All right, so what do? I get the chicken Alisco, double rice, no beans.
Double rice, no beans.
Yeah. Call me
Orange
Charles
juice, no
and
pulp.
feed it to me, brother. And so we hit that thing up. Unfortunately, we only had 45 minutes to be in community with one another. That was a negative way to view it. Positively, we got 45 minutes to spend time with one another. There it is, gentlemen and ladies. We need to learn how to reframe our minds in an optimistic way. Onward, that's Tuesday. Wednesday, Deeper Life, Christianity and World Religions. We got Brother Rich teaching on Roman Catholicism. All right,
Richie.
The 7 Sacraments. Yeah. And what you don't know about Richie that you're about to know is that he grew up a devout Roman Catholic and was transformed by the gospel in 2002. I mean, this guy,
Richie was a Catholic?
Richie, yeah, he's from New Orleans, man. That's the home.
That'll do it.
That's the hubbub. And so we need to get him on this podcast. And
dude, if Zach Allen's not going to come on, we need
Richie.
Dickie Baldwin being on this dang podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get Rodrigo to reach out to his people and we'll see what he says. But he's a high ticket item, high ticket man. So we'll have to fork over some money from our golf tournament here. And so that was great. I'm just telling you straight up, that was phenomenal. Thursday rolls around. What do we have? Well, get this. My car, I got a rental. We went through this. We talked about Phyllis giving her a kiss. My car, they have no idea. My rental, it ran out. You rent it for 2 months, which is a hefty price tag. 2-month rental. I've had
and a price tag that you're not bearing.
Oh, no. The weight is lifted off my shoulders and placed on Hyundai corporate. All right. I'll just tell you straight up, $2,400 for 2 months, and that's with a special discount with the car dealership and the rental.
But Phyllis, she did it.
Yeah, if you add in everything, it's a $13,000 easily repair so far. Yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. That's why you get warranties, children. Always get the warranty on your car because you never know what might happen, and you might not know what the Lord has you to do at the Hyundai Jenkins of Ocala dealership. All right, onward. So I'm calling on the phone. They say, hey, we need to get your rental, but we can't renew your rental because we changed car companies from Hertz to Enterprise. When can you come to Ocala next? Well, I got a tennis match at 6 a.m. on Thursday, and so I got to go from tennis straight to Ocala. So I'm driving to Ocala in my Chevy Malibu, ready to exchange. I take it back to the Hertz. I walk across the street to the Enterprise, and they hit me up with a 2023 Toyota Camry. All right, so now I'm lugging around a Toyota Camry around town for the foreseeable future. As I asked,
they hit me up. They hit me up with a 1995 Accord.
Yeah.
2023 is sick, man. That's pretty much brand new.
It's pretty much brand new, 16,000 miles, but it doesn't have the cool features. It's pretty bare bones. They don't even have Apple CarPlay, which I'm thankful for the time and the gift of the new car. However, I would love Apple CarPlay, but that's just not a priority or a need. It's a desire and a want. Anyway, onward. We're going and we're flying through. All right. we're enjoying the smooth ride. We drive back to Gainesville. Thursday night, we have the gathering for women. Well, as you can see by my face, I am not a woman. There are some. Never mind. Onward. And so, but I need to work this event. So I'm taking photographs of the women's event, and it's just a joy. I mean, the women have it down pat. It was a great crowd. Our women's ministry just pops off, and we need more of it. We need more women. Women, if you're listening to this and you need to get plugged in community, you need to message, quite frankly. Give a call to Rodrigo. He'll get you plugged in real quick to the women's ministry. Find some women. If you're not in Gainesville, find some women to hang out with. If you're a woman, I'm talking to the women. Males, find some males to hang out with. That's probably a pretty healthy thing. But we need each other. That's what I'm taking away from this event. We need each other. We need to be in community with each other. Living isolated never leads to greatness. All right, living isolated leads to depression. It leads to loneliness. Loneliness is an epidemic in the United States of America, declared by whoever the president of doctor is on
CDC.
the board of governors, the CDC. All right. If you're feeling lonely, you need to reach out to Rodrigo and the team at Quite Frankly Podcast. Friday rolls
Rodrigo,
around.
he'll take care of you.
Rodrigo,
Always
he's
does.
a caring, loving gentleman, and he's trustworthy. We wouldn't just put anybody out there. We would not just hire anybody. We got to hire someone special, and Rodrigo is that man. Friday rolls around. Well, what is Friday? Well, we got to go. We got to go hit the legs. We hit legs hard, and then we go play 2 hours of pickleball in 85-degree weather. Me, Connor Coleman, and get this, our press secretary of the White House for the Unity Party joins us as well out there. So it was just three of us. So we played this new little game called Cutthroat, and it was warm. Our throats were not cut literally, but if you viewed our bodies as throats and the sun as the cut, then we for sure got cutthroated. Onward, Friday night, we have... Oh, Friday as well, I go to Young Townsend Tab's tennis match. That was a joy over at Jonesville Park. Then we have a dinner with our mission team. That was also a joy. 4th Avenue Food Park. I went to this Mexican place that I don't know the name of, but I tell you, it was one of the great burritos in my life. I don't even like black beans, but those black beans were pretty top tier, I'll be honest with you. Saturday rolls around. What is Saturday? I think Saturday morning was fairly chill. Then around 10 a.m. I go on a walk. I go on a journey. After the walk, I go home, apply some sunscreen, go out to the pool and read a book. All right. Jackson grinds steak. He grinds bacon. He puts them in patties and grills them on the grill with some Munster cheese. Let me tell you about those burgers. They were good. All right, onward. Saturday night rolls around. I think I played pickleball Saturday night as well. Because what else am I going to do? I could have sat down on my couch and watched a movie, I guess. But I didn't. I played pickleball with Grant Richardson. Shout out Grant Richardson if you're listening to this podcast, which you aren't because you don't know about it. But I wanted to share that Grant Richardson and I played some great games. We played some great games. Highly competitive, highly fun. Onward. Sunday rolls around. Sunday is today, the day we're filming this. Well, what is Sunday? Sunday, we go to church. We listen. What does leading in the wilderness look like? And we look to the example set by Moses. Moses listened. Leaders listen. Moses learned. Moses took advice from his own father-in-law. Hey, you got to kind of humble yourself there. Moses, he let go. He delegated responsibility, and Moses loved. He loved the people. And so we see in Exodus an example of leadership that points to Jesus. What does Jesus do? Jesus did all of that. He delegated his ministry. He gave his power and authority to 12 people after he passed away to do the work of the ministry and to build his church. Isn't that crazy? That's some pretty extensive power that he's letting go, but he doesn't feel like he needs to be in control because there's a great plan. Now, you could debunk that argument that Jesus is always in control, but then you have the argument of free will. Now, I'm not here to get into that, but anyway, Jesus also loved. Jesus loved. And so as we look to Jesus, how can we emulate that form of leadership to others? Well, what did Jesus do? He sacrificed. That's a leader. He came to serve, not to be served, laying down his life as a ransom for many. Oh, get out of town. Now, that's difficult for the human mind and the human flesh because we want what we want. And to be quite frank, often that's not what God wants. And so we have to continually examine our desires and our wants amongst our brethren and sisters' needs. Are we compromising in any of those areas that aren't leading us toward the Lord? I'm not here to answer that for you. I know there's some areas in my life where I do, and I need to correct that. And that starts with prayer. That starts with understanding. That starts with listening. That starts with learning. That starts with letting go. And that starts with loving. You see how all of this connects? And I am finished. I think that was my fastest recap ever.
That might have been your fastest recap ever. And I mean, what a whirlwind of a week, if I do say so myself.
I want you to say it.
Man, I don't even know where. I'd love to ask you some questions, but my head is just spinning because you went so fast. Yeah, I don't even know what to say, brother. It sounds like an incredible week. I thought it was interesting you had a 6 a.m. tennis match. Is that when y'all played Cutthroat?
No, that's Friday.
What's up with the 6 a.m. tennis match?
Dude, you got to get out there. Well, I have work on Thursdays, so I got to get out there.
But what, do you use lights? You turn the lights on somewhere?
Yeah, they have lights.
Where at?
It's not light. Northside Park. Northside Park. If you're listening in Gainesville, come play tennis at 6 a.m.
And there's how many people out there when you get there?
0.
Oh, imagine that. Who did you play with?
I played with this woman named Kelly Holguin. She is one of my great friends' younger sisters, and she is needing to get beat in tennis pretty badly.
I hear you, man. I hear you. And she's a panhandle girl. If I was gonna bet.
Panhandle of Florida,
money.
not to be confused with the Panhandle of Panama nor Texas,
nor the Panhandle of Alaska or Oklahoma
or Iowa.
I think I've got a great idea for this summer. I think we need to do a Panhandle series. And we need to go to every single state in the U.S. and film a podcast in the panhandle of every state that has a panhandle.
And it will be funded by AHC, Abundant Home
Collections. That's right. Yeah, thank you, AHC. Really appreciate you stepping up and being willing to kind of fund our cross-country trips and it means a lot to us, honestly. Wow. Well,
shout out AHC and Alec Lights.
That's right. Yeah. I know we're getting a little short on time, but I wanted to touch on something that we seemingly talk about every single week. But we have come together again on a Sunday night. And it's looking like Scottie Scheffler is going to win yet another PGA golf tournament, dude. I think it's suspended right now because of rain. Or did he end up winning it?
Yes. No. He's through hole 15. So get this. This guy's so good. He hit his ball into the water. Now, I realize that doesn't sound good. But he hits out of the water. He's still 200 yards away. He hits out of the water, 10-foot shot. Probably 15-foot putt for par. Absolute drains it. They blow the horn. Play resumes tomorrow at 8 a.m. on the Golf Channel. You can bet I'm watching that. Shout out Westside Baptist Church. I might be a little late.
Dude, ever since the Masters in our office, we've got like a TV. Usually it's got HGTV on it because, construction, we're going to have people building houses, I guess, in the background. I put it on the Golf Channel and nobody's touched it since Masters weekend. You better believe I'm going to be watching that tomorrow morning, bro. Yeah, it's been on the Golf Channel for about 2 weeks now. But, dude, what is he? He's got a 4-shot lead right now? Something like that?
Yes. Yeah, he's 20 under.
It's insane. Obviously, we've never seen anything like it. We talked about it last week. But like you said, hit it in the water. He's literally walks on water and goes and hits his second shot so he doesn't have to take a penalty. It's insane. But we've seen, in the Bible, we've seen people walk on the water, when they have faith. And he's been very outspoken about his faith, so it's not really surprising that he's able to go out there. His ball probably had a beautiful lie on the lake, just sitting there, like floating. He walks out there with a 7-iron. He's stepping on the water, just walking on top of it. Absolutely pures it. It's insane. And I would bet everything that I have that he's going to end up winning that tournament because he just doesn't make bogeys,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But we'll find out tomorrow for sure at 8 a.m. Eastern time.
Yep. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. But you want to do Song of the Week? You've been listening to anything? Or
I'll be the first to tell you, I haven't been listening to a ton of stuff. So I'm working through a couple things. But if you go... no, I got it. My Song of the Week, Anyway, by Benjamin Williams Hastings.
Any way you want it, that's the way
that's
you need
the way you
it.
get
Any
it.
way you want it. Sorry, that's Journey.
Yeah.
Not Billy Hastings.
It's close. It's close. But it's a great song, Bill Haste. Bill Haste sings Anyway. And I would just listen to it. I would, personally. How about you?
That's a good one. I've been listening to a lot of Chris Ledoux. He's a cowboy. Legitimately. He's won a bunch of rodeo stuff. Obviously, maybe not obviously, but he has passed away. I think he had colon cancer. May he rest in peace. But he's got this song called What You Gonna Do with a Cowboy. And ever since Stetson was wearing that pearl snap shirt a few weekends ago, I've been listening to a lot of his stuff. So that's going to be my Song of the Week.
That's awesome, man. I'll look forward to listening to the Cowboy. As we close our time together, do you have any final thoughts? Any words of wisdom or non-wisdom?
Well, I think I'm full of non-wisdom, and I show that every week on this podcast, so I won't go too deep into that, but I'm excited about next weekend. We are going to be, I'm not sure if we're going to do the podcast from my new place. Me and you together, that is a live podcast, but I know we will be filming a subscriber only vlog of the trip. I think we're going to do some head-to-head donut taste tests. There's probably going to be some pickleball and maybe basketball content in there. Maybe some Sky Joe. Who knows? I may make smash burgers. You never know what's going to happen on these. You just have to be a subscriber to know what happens. But I'm incredibly amped for it. I think it's going to be, it's been a little bit, to be honest. And our subscribers are really very faithful, and we appreciate it. So this one is going to be an absolute bomb, the one you've been waiting for, so to speak. I'm incredibly, I'm in an anticipatory state for it. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, you can go to flowbo.com, FLEAUBO.com. And you can buy merch. You can subscribe to our kind of Patreon content there. And you can also leave us a message. Leave us a voice message or just any sort of comment, and we'll address it. No matter, maybe not no matter what you say, but if you send it to us, we're going to talk about it. It's just that easy. But that's all I got.
That's excellent. And listeners, here's what you need to know. There's 3 key ways to support us. 3. All right. And Brett's already said them, but you need to hear it specifically. Number 1, buy merch. That's support. Number 2, subscribe to our subscriber-only content. That supports us financially. If you don't want to subscribe to our subscriber-only content, but want to support us financially, Venmo, either Brett or I, you can easily search us. If you have a phone number, just Apple Pay us as well. We're going to use that money to support the mission of the Quite Frankly podcast, to love people deeply and generously. And number 3 is to rate and review this podcast. With your rating and your review, it allows others to see what you think of this podcast and how they can be a part of it and support and love people deeply and generously. And with that, we're going to see you in 7 days because we love you deeply and generously.